Hello, my name is Big Bubble. I sometimes go by the name of Simon, and this is actually a board game special. I'm going to be talking about something that no one wanted me to talk about, and yet I'm going to do so anyway, and that is actually cards and card sleeves. Is there enough content to talk about? No, but I thought it would be wise just to talk about it in case someone doesn't know. Someone getting maybe into this board game hobby of ours, maybe they don't fully know about the sleeving problem we currently have. Now, I like to have sleeves. I like my cards to be sleeved, generally because I'm quite OCD. I like them because they feel nice and they also protect my cards. I have times when I've spilled water on my board game and the cards have protected it. And likewise, I have friends who eat biscuits. I eat biscuits, and again, I don't want the cards to be dirty. That being said, nowadays that's less of a problem, generally because cards are so well manufactured. They have lovely finishes to them. They are quite hardy and durable, so there's very little chance of them actually getting damaged or not lasting long enough for you to get the full experience out of them. So what I'm going to talk about is two things. I'm going to be talking about sleeve sizes and what to be careful of, and also the best sleeving method possible. Now, when we talk about sleeve sizes, this is a great sleeve size and this is a great fit. When we talk about fit, I'm talking about how much excess plastic is off of the sides. You can see over here, this is great because there's a small trim, but there's still enough for me to actually get my finger in and open up a gap in case I want to pull out the card. A not so great fit would be something like this. This is a card from Imperial Assault, Star Wars, and as you can see, well, there's a bit too much flabbiness over here and a bit too much overhang here. Well, now, what's interesting about this is from Fantasy Flight Games, who actually have 5 different card sizes. They have 2 small card sizes, like this, and then they have 2 normal card sizes. So if we take, for example, something like the Rebel Trooper, it fits quite nicely, or when I say nicely, it fits into one of their card sizes for normal. Now you can go onto the website and they'll actually tell you which is the correct one to use. I think in this case I have purple when it should actually be yellow, I think, or I forget the colors. But you can go online and check. Unfortunately, there's also a third size for them, and that is if we look at the Arkham Horror card, this won't actually fit. You can see that it wants to, but nope, it's just not going to happen. And you don't want to ever squeeze your cards in. If you start bending the cards, so if the cards actually start to get a bit of bend because of it, that's something you want to look out for. That means simply it's not the correct fit. I'd rather have my cards to have more space in them, have a bit more space to move around, rather than being forced into a card sleeve that is a bit too small. And again, this problem extends to a lot more things. For example, if you look at these 3, hey, perfect, these are all large cards. You can see, okay, that is clearly a different size. That is actually from Modern Art. But if we look at these 2, you'll think they're the same size, but no. For some reason, we have a nice large tarot size card from Blood Rage, and a Scythe tarot size card, but doesn't fit in the Scythe, doesn't fit in a nice tarot card size sleeve. Again, too much overhang. It's not a big problem, but it can mess up with something like shuffling. I also do find typically that with sleeving your cards, you can't rifle shuffle, or you might struggle to shuffle your cards. But generally what I find is having your cards sleeved is a great way to protect them from the damages of shuffling. This is especially true when it comes to games like Magic the Gathering. That being said, if you are worried about your card sizes, so for example what I did when I wanted to find out what is a good size for Modern Art, because I thought my tarot size cards wouldn't fit, I went online to Board Game Geek. I simply searched for card sizes for Modern Art, and it popped up there, and people gave me some advice, which is incredibly handy. There is a guide somewhere on the different card sizes, but the thing to keep in mind is when you buy a game, don't just assume that a card is going to be a certain size. Always go online and do your homework. Now, with all that being said, you're probably wondering, well, what do I think is the best method to do card sleeving? And let me show you. The first thing is you want to make sure that when you grab your sleeves, that they're all facing in the right orientation. So in this case, all my sleeves are facing to the top, which is great. Next up, you want to make sure that you orientate your cards. You want to make sure that all your cards are the right way. You don't want a situation where some are maybe top to bottom or bottom to top. You want to make sure they all are the right way. The third thing you want to do is you also want to make sure which way or which side you want the top to be. So if you take an example of this, if we look at it, actually what has happened here is the top of the card's here, but the actual opening of the card sleeve is actually at the top or at the bottom of the card. And that, for me, this doesn't work. It looks a bit untidy, and that's a no-go. Instead, I always like to make sure that my card sleeves, the opening is always at the top of the card. That feels more natural to me. And keep in mind, you always want to make sure that all your sleeves are the same way around. You don't want a situation where half are top opened and some are bottom opened, because again, this leads to complications when you do shuffling, or perhaps you want to make all the cards, you don't want to know what the back of the cards are, and if some of them are different, you're going to have some complications. Likewise, when it comes to dual-sided cards, you can see over here in this dual-sided card, the opening is on the left-hand side and it's on the top here. So what I generally like to do is I want to make sure that one of my sides is the more important side. In this case, this has more information, and that will be the right-hand side of the card that gets the sleeve opening. So that's just a handy tip if you have card sizes or cards that are double-sided and you want to sleeve them. Now, let's get back to the method of actually sleeving the cards. First thing you want to do, put all your sleeves on one side. Make sure all your cards that you want to sleeve are on the right hand side. And then what you're going to do is with your left hand, you're going to grab the card sleeve. With your right hand, you're going to actually grab the card. And you can do this at the same time. What you're next going to do is you're just going to crinkle your sleeve so it has enough space. And then you're simply just going to shuffle or slot. This is a bit more difficult when I actually have through a viewfinder camera, but you just want to crinkle your sleeve and then put it in. Now, what's really great about this method is if you practice it, you can get it really fast. In this case, boom, and you can get it in quite well done. Easy enough happening. This is probably the best method I found to sleeving my cards. It does require a bit of planning, but generally, if you get good at it, you can just become ambidextrous and lift both of the cards up at the same time. Open it, slide it in, done. And that's it about sleeving cards. I find it a bit too expensive. I think that, sometimes you can pay more on sleeves for a card than you did for the actual game. But again, this is a personal choice. And likewise, there is a nice feeling to it to have your precious cards actually sleeved. I hope this was entertaining. I hope this was something that you enjoyed, even if you did not ask for it. If you did like the video, then remember to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any comments or suggestions, remember to leave them down below. And if you didn't like the video, then leave a comment to tell me why. Perhaps you think sleeves are a waste of time, but let me know. And if you didn't like the video, of course, hit the dislike button at the top there. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this. Bye-bye.